I guess we can start. Let's go. Yeah, we already meet you guys. So I guess we can start to sharing those marketing challenges for this year, sharing all of our knowledge, experience that we're gathering from our company. So yeah, let's start.
I think that just to give some context to people here. Alex currently works on the client and he works with most of our clients with our delivery team. I'm currently overseeing our email marketing team in general, and then Vlad is building Folderly. So three of us work on a daily basis, but every one of us focuses on a different area of business. And right now, today, we really wanted to cover all of those areas, not just the email deliverability end, but really like give you the 360 overview of everything that's happening with the email channel. So let's go.
Thanks for the intro. Hey, everyone.
Yeah, let's go. So speaking of email marketing, so for the fact, this is the most, I guess, the huge acquisition channel for clients, for both like cold email marketing guys, for warm email marketing guys, for subscribers matter. And for the fact, email so huge that there is like emails goes worldwide at the like insane number, 150 billion of emails on a daily basis. And again, crazy that only 50% of those emails reach the inbox, and like worst case scenario, they went to the spam folder, in the best in promotion, which is not the great result. We're all here striving for getting all of our inbox like emails to the inbox. And speaking of the result that people getting from the email acquisition channel, and it's kind of great and worth to mention that not that like kind of email marketing is the most biggest kind of channel in terms of lead acquisition, but almost cheap, because you just need your domain, mailboxes, write some down like a few email templates, shoot your email with the right value proposition to the target audience that you choose, and you can like do the high end of the personalization there and get the right people just by your hand. And all companies worldwide seeing that the median for having ROI from email marketing around 3,700% on average, and speaking that like 50% of those emails end up in spam. And for the people who like missing point that they didn't get any chance to drive revenue from this channel, so there is some numbers that talks about the opposite here.
And I think that that's what we are doing every time, right, guys? Like whenever we have a new product or something we really need to test. And I think that we always use email as our go-to channel to really make sure that, we can have real data on the hypothesis that we are making. So I think that when we started our newest product Worst Tier, we've collected the database of this X hundred of people that we know would be a good fit for our product. We created a nice valid proposition based email, and we start sending out those emails, talking to people, getting their attention. And that way we were able to get the proof of concept. Okay, this thing works. Let's then invest into marketing, right? And as just Vlad mentioned, right, it really takes you just a couple of hundred of leads, a few templates, one or two tools, and that's it. Whereas with other channels, like you can imagine, like going after advertising with this budget, or going after content marketing, or even social with all the noise that is out there, right? It's kind of tough. So really, at the end of the day, even in 2023, when you would say, well, there are so many platforms out there, email is still one of those go-to channels that not necessarily just guys like we are using, but all the companies we work with, this is like the go-to. And I'm sure we're going to talk about that.
And I'll add shortly that, every fifth client that we have, sooner or later comes to us with an idea saying, hey guys, I recently had a meeting with my board, and we want to, approach new market. Can you just start your campaign? And it happens at the point when we already know what our averages are in terms of responses, open rates, response rate, what we expect, what's the ROI, etc. Then you hit that market for like 2-3 weeks, and you already have like preliminary data, what's almost impossible with other channels, as Michael mentioned. And then based on this data, they either see, okay, that's what we expected, or vice versa. Okay, that's much going to worse compared to what we had before. Let's brainstorm. We'll come back to this again. So that's a good good channel just to dig deeper at the very beginning and then make your decision.
That's true. And speaking of those challenges and opportunities that email marketing brings to us, and from those challenges, I can say that the most common thing for this year, there's a lot of companies starting to cut their budgets because of the economic uncertainty, economic downturn, because there's the first budget that people are cutting off, the marketing budget, marketing spend, because there's a lot of tools, a lot of campaigns, but here is the thing about the budget. So if you really understand what kind of channel are you using the most in terms of bringing the clients on board, traction on board, revenue on board. So I will talk about this in the next slide, but you just need to understand that for the fact, so the most working your acquisition channel is worth to invest your top penny, because even though there is any economics problems, it's still the research, a lot of research shows that if you are still investing all those budgets over your most working channels, you surpasses all of those kind of competition for great clients. Yeah, and
just to add on this challenge, Vlad, we as the company and as a team already went through, I think there was 4 major crises that we went through. Like one of the crises, when we started the business and you don't know whatever the heck you are doing. So you kind of are just reinvesting everything and you might end up not having enough money in the bank to pay salaries. We've been there, we've done that. You know, we went through COVID when we start being on the high and then COVID bomb. And obviously the first thing you do is to, as Vlad mentioned, you cut off your marketing budget, right? So that was the crisis. We went through some other company crisis, or like we went through the war in Ukraine last year when a huge chunk of our team is based out of Ukraine. But all of the time when we went through those crises and we kind of successfully overcame them and move on and continued growing and doubling our businesses, one of the things that we're doing, and this is to Vlad's point, we always invested into marketing. We always invested in sales. So having your pipeline healthy, having a lot of opportunities, having a lot of eyes on your brand and on your product is very important. So that's why whatever you're doing, guys, whenever there's a crisis or there's a recession, you never cut off your marketing. You never let go of your marketing team. You always continue pushing because it's going to get a compound effect. And at the end, you're going to see much, much, much higher traction. And so again, this is just to add to your point, Vlad, here.
Yeah, and to continue the topic. So the economic downturn ended up with lower purchasing power and end up with a low business profitability. So this is the reason why everyone cutting costs, layoffing people, shutdowning some tools. Also, good point for this year that there is a lot of AI tools emerging, like ChatGPT, OpenAI, and they also released the Whisper AI, that API, which is the API for the ChatGPT. And already, I think there is a lot of people who already wanted to implement it over their chatbots, having all of those FAQ questions on their website, fully automated. So we'll see. Also, the thing for this year for the email marketing as well is spam filter scrutiny, because all those email service providers like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and others basically making all those rules of the game strict over the years, even more stricter than in the past years. And there is a hard point to find out that email marketing, justify email marketing, that there's the channel that truly work for you. But there is a lot of things that you need to take care of. And yeah, in terms of the deliverability, domains, and the heavy technical stuff.
Absolutely. And just to get a quick story reel here for you guys. So imagine this, 2017 or 2016, me and Alex are pushing our first clients. We really are focusing, getting the KPI done, etc. One time, bam, most of our emails hit spam folder. That's it. It's done, right? Alex approaches me, hey, Michael, what's happening? How we can fix it? And we were changing domains, changing mailboxes, not working, right? So I went to Vlad and said, hey, Vlad, we need to get it fixed. So that's the story of Folderly origin. That's how we start building Folderly, because we realized that, there's no way we can manage the email channel successfully without actually having the email deliverability, right?
And imagine it was like 6 years ago. Even back then, we already had this problem, even though, as Michael says, first time we didn't understand what was happening. Maybe the campaign is so off, that it's so horrible that nobody even opens it. And then kind of with every year, it's, it's more and more strict, as Vlad says. And a lot of clients that come to us, they say, hey, we want to try it, but like email marketing is not as good for me. And I say, okay, what you did the previous year? And he says, same like 10 years ago, I just had like 1,000 prospects. I just, sent them all and just, I was hoping it's going to work. And then suddenly some spam issues, whatever. So they don't follow the changes. And logically, it's more and more complicated with every year, even compared to like 5-10 years ago.
Yeah, and then that's to the point where like spam filter scrutiny, right? Like they always going to be better. They always going to be improving. Like spam filters going to stop you. But the idea is that you always need to adapt and look for something else, like personalization, right? Like you don't necessarily need just to rely on automation, right? Like you have ChatGPT to helping you to be more creative, but then they would detect that. So you need to be personalized with that as well, create more prompts, better prompts, etc. Right? So just again, so there are always challenges, but to Vlad's point, you always need to look to opportunities in those challenges to be better, right?
Right, and speaking of opportunities, so always advance your email channel, and the number speaks by itself. So email marketing works, and it works for I guess 30 years in a row, and will continue to grow and continue to be like core acquisition channel for all of those companies worldwide. And remember to focus on your targets and target audience, like your ideal customer profile, because with the emails, you can always find the people, shortlist them, find their emails, hit them with the great email template and get the answer. As Michael said, use AI to your cost efficiency to make your prompts even better with the ChatGPT and optimize your content strategy on your backend. And yeah, always personalization earns loyalty. If you stays personal, personalize your emails, personalize your approach, the people love that, because you're not just spraying and praying for their answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and moving next and diving deep to the budget. So for the fact for this year, 74% of the businesses said that the economic downturn influencing their marketing budget. And circling back to the topic that I started, that over the years, research has found that companies that maintains health, stable investment in working in marketing and sales during the recession, overpass all those challenges. So always keep in mind that in those kind of negative economic landscape, there's always opportunity that can rise up for you, for your company, for your clients also. And yeah, more people will do outbound since there is a lot of companies trying for the results, since their revenue is decreasing, the reason of the layoff, etc. So basically, there's so many people strive for new clients out there. So everyone, I guess, will reimagine EU and build their marketing strategy around all of those kind of negative factors here. Yeah, and a good point that we, Michael and Alex and I, did with our community, with our clients. We constantly survey them about how they feel about email marketing channels, what they think that they believe that will work. And our clients strongly believe that email marketing, digital advertising, social media will help us to surpass this year with all those uncertainty in terms of the economic situation. But yeah, for the fact, as we are talking about the email, it probably works, yeah. So make email the top performing channel for you, and try to gather the value and enhance each and every step of this process. So
I'll talk for a second about this. And again, I'm sure we're going to dive into the hacks and some insights, and we're going to talk the real examples really soon. But one last point on not just on the importance of email in general, but on actual compliance regulation, right? I know for a fact that many of you guys don't really want to push hard on cold emailing just because you feel like, well, it's not very compliant with GDPR or with CAN-SPAM law, or etc., which is kind of in a way true, depending on what kind of email you're doing, right? So I just really wanted for a second to highlight the importance of following and adhere to the compliance. On the screen, you see the 6 most important ones. However, like, can I, yeah, I think okay, here I go. Sorry about that. All right. But what's important is that these laws are being developed. So you see here on the screen that in the United States, where California compliance law was the main one in terms of the email compliance right now, starting 2023, they're going to have a new updates. And last year alone, there was 4 other laws in Virginia, Colorado, Utah, Connecticut. So again, make sure that you read through them and you kind of follow the ones that apply for you. And then in a second, I'm going to tell you, so again, really need to make sure that you guys are compliant. And if you specifically are in the industries that are heavily personal data, like fintech, retail, you store your customer data, make sure that there is like a certain rules of privacy policy that are applied. If you are in tech or SaaS, when you heavily rely on other providers like Stripe, HubSpot, PlanHead, you name it, most of those companies, they have some process in place. So that's cool. But again, making sure that the privacy or laws are adhered is very important. And then talking about like being compliant, right? This is the interesting thing. So you can do cold emailing. I always say that, and we've talked to lawyers. I've done a lot of webinars about this. So the idea is that whenever you do a cold emailing, right, you need to make sure that it's a business-to-business communication where you're contacting other business individual with regards to their business, and then you're following this rules or some of these examples on that you see here, right? So always get consent before adding email to the mailing list. So if you're having a mass mailing, right? But if you're mailing one-to-one conversation or sending personal emails with a business proposition without spamming and doing that using the mailbox, it's a bit different game, right? Again, compliance is more about not being mass mailed if you don't have consent, right? The very important is actual messaging that you're sending, and also how you're sending it. So make clear who the email is from and to, right? Because very often people are, these tools have this first and last name editable, so you can change it, but that's not usually what you do that. You really want to make sure that it matches, the first name, last name, the mailbox, all of that, right? Don't trigger the customer with a misleading subject line. This is one of the things that triggers spam filters the most. And that's why one of the hacks I would say here is whenever you create an email, the email body should fit the actual subject line. So there should be either some same wording, or should be sort of like the idea of what the email is about, but it shouldn't be misleading, right? So if the subject line is totally different from actual email body, that's going to trigger the spam filter because they see that, right? You share the location in the footer, like the location of where you are, where you're going from. Again, very important. But then the hack here is that very often when you share their location, there's automatically some pixel or script integrated in that location. For example, if someone of you guys emailed from HubSpot, they have that, right? But what you can do, you can change in the signature section not to include the link, so just the address. In this way, you comply with it, but you don't trigger the spam filters that are there, right? And then offer the way to opt out for few of the emails, but then the hack here, you don't necessarily need to offer the email with the link, right? So you don't necessarily need to click on opt out here. What you can do, you can put the wording, you can put PS, sometimes you do that. You can put something else. You can put in the text, hey, if it's not relevant, just let me know, and I'm going to email you again with this, right? So this is considered to be an opt-out request or opt-out message. So don't necessarily need to put the link if you don't want to be perceived as you're actually doing the emailing, and you're kind of doing the automated blasting, right? So again, this is about the compliance. I think we just really, Alex, people wants to know hacks. So let's just give them some like best practices and things that we know that for a fact works to give them the 90% open rate.
Sure. Yeah. So as you told at the beginning, email marketing is our bread and butter. So, I'll just make sure, I'm concise, enough just to tell and, go through all the slides. So we'll start with personalized messaging and why we talk about it. So we had that much experience working with clients. Some of them were, some of the campaigns were good. Some of them were worse. Some of them miserably failed. A lot of kind of ideas that clients kind of gave us. They really worked out. Some of them didn't. But over the years, we have that many approaches in our internal library, in our knowledge base, that we can share something that with a higher chance is going to work for you. We cannot guarantee depending on your service or product, but these are the things that probably will work this year if you're planning on doing email marketing. And this is this AI that is really booming, and because of that, kind of things evolve and change really, really, fastly. However, kind of we'll touch base. We'll talk about it later. So we'll start with personalized marketing and messaging. As Michael mentioned, there are different ways of doing marketing. One is like spray and pray, like big batch, just use MailChimp or something. And another is kind of something called personalized. Here we can sub-bucket it. So I'm not talking about like sending a unique personalized message to every single prospect, because why not? Because not scalable. So you can't come up with a perfect email. Surely, you can spend 1 hour, a few hours of your time, maybe, with a higher chance it's going to be opened, and there is a high chance it's going to be kind of responded, and maybe even going to have appointment. But in terms of scale, it's not that good as you probably would expect. So there is like, a simple personalization, like and simple variables you can use. So you can use a company name, you can use a name of the prospect, you can use their title, their company size, and not only in the kind of variables, but also while building your strategy. So you can have like different approaches for like technical titles, different approaches for financial titles. You can have different approaches for small companies, medium-sized companies. Just this is something you can really put on scale. You can, adding every lead, you can find some basic information about them and just kind of mailing depending on what you could find. Then there is a deeper personalization. So this one is a bit more tricky. So depending on your business and depending on your ICP and your target audience, there is always a sales intelligence you can use. So either you can find that they have recent funding, or they use some platform, or they have like a big sales team, and this is really connected with what you're pitching them. Some road shows, events, either the person you're pitching kind of visited the event, or the company was there, et cetera, et cetera. So we did have multiple ways of personalizing emails. Not all of them are scalable, because sometimes you can find a lot of approaches that can be super personalized, but you just cannot scale them. But more or less, this is working really good for us. And then at the end, we have creative approaches. Kind of either those can be some connected with ChatGPT, some video personalized content, some maybe images, but this one is tricky because you don't want to be marked as spam. Right. So that's on the personalization. Then talking about re-engagement. So this is another issue we saw, and a lot of clients don't think about it quite enough. So when you have your first campaign and when you're starting your outreach, you blast kind of the first, say, 500, 1,000 prospects. Usually you start with the best. You start with your perfect ICP. You start with your golden clients, like top companies. You email all of them. And then you kind of go further, that either you add like not top-notch companies, or you're in the position where you should re-engage with the current database you already created. So the problem here is the following. At first, a lot of this re-engagement is generic. So you mail them either with, or our clients either mail them with same content they mailed before, or basically was just, hey, it's me again, kind of bothering with the same kind of pitch and 10 consecutive follow-ups. So here it can be divided to two categories. The first one is like automatic nurturing. So this is easy. This is, mostly through your CRM, and we use HubSpot. Maybe Michael will add something. Yeah, you say like a real pro in HubSpot. So this is the automatic part. I'll probably leave it to Michael. And then manual re-engagement is something that it's a bit more complicated in terms of kind of hours that you should spend, but we do this for almost every client. So what was the idea? You start a campaign, You mail like 1,000 people over the course of like 1 month, 2 months. Then, depending on what was happening, with those conversations, you re-engage with them like 2 months later, but with a unique messaging. So somebody responded back, they didn't have a budget. Maybe 1 month not enough, but 1 quarter after, you just follow up with them asking if the timing is better. Somebody had some objections about the timing, but depending on what they responded back, you're engaged later. You pitch for some conferences, they didn't attend, or they attended, they were busy. Then you say, hey, I couldn't meet you at the conference in Los Angeles, but just the timing is better probably here now, Q1, January, February, I'm just re-engaging with you. So you're ideally your SDR, or you should have the pipeline with a lot of kind of labels, and depending on what was your previous, back and forth with the prospect, you're engaged with them either manually, or you can sub-bucket them and just send like small, short kind of emails to a couple of dozens of prospects, depending on their previous correspondence with you. Yeah. Michael, you want to add something on automatic nurturing?
Yeah, so I just wanted to add real quick here. So really automatic nurturing, and we are doing it through HubSpot. You said that it's easy to set up. Well, that's not actually very easy to set up, just for the, for the note real quick here. But you usually do that for the people that are already in your existing pipeline, right? Because you can send newsletters, you can send some other like ways of correspondence, and then using HubSpot as technology. Maybe for those that you don't know that, they have this HubSpot scoring. That's what they call. So the idea is that they can track everything that the customer is doing on the website, like opening pages, opening email, reading, opening emails, getting meetings, whatever you're doing with your brand, is visiting social. They can track all of that. And then you can set up this positive and negative signals that will be added to the HubSpot score whenever something is happening. So in this way, you can see if there are some prospects in your HubSpot CRM that are growing their HubSpot score, then maybe they have a buying intent to converse with you again. And this works really well when you have this long sales cycle nurturing process where it's going to take you a year or 2 years to close them. So nurturing of an existing pipeline is very important. The manual re-engagement, though, it's more for the cold outreach, because you really cannot nurture prospects with the newsletter when you don't actually have them in your pipeline or HubSpot, because they are two different ballgame, right? So the cold outreach and then opt-in database, there are two different games there, right? So for that, as Alex mentioned, like really bucketing them down and creating a certain strategy and logic on how you can re-engage with them is important. But if you do it right, and every time you improve your messaging, then you can squeeze out your TAM for as long as you can. We've had some cases where the total addressable market is just 1,000 companies, 2,000 companies, right? And we work with them again and again, getting new information. But with that approach, it's very important. I think that Alex missed mentioning this. You need to clean your list all the time, because every lead has a certain life cycle to it. So usually it's at 3-6 months. Now in recession, people are changing jobs quickly. So it means that the people that you're emailing might not already be in the company, right? So you always need to clean the list, always to update the data. That's why one of the things that we recommend you guys, try not to use an automated data scrapping or automated data provider, because like even let's face, even ZoomInfo, have anyone see what kind of quality of the data they are giving lately? It's not as good as it was when it started, right? So they're not updating because of the massive amount of data is out there. They cannot update it in like every month, every 6 months. They're doing that once per year or whatever, and it's not good. So what we are doing, we are employing a position called lead researchers, and their job is to qualify lead list in a very manual, semi-automated fashion, where they can check the website, check the profiling, check the social, make sure that the email is correct one, make sure that they can add those interesting points that Alex mentioned, like the sales intelligence point. Sometimes it might be changing the position. Sometimes it might be the recent great post. Sometimes it could be something different, right? You can, there are so different ways you can personalize that, but the idea is that you need to someone actually looking and checking that. And I hope that we will be able to personalize that with ChatGPT. What do you think, Vlad? Can we do something like that later?
Yeah, probably. With the right prompts, with the right approach from computer science standpoint, everything possible. Even though with their API, I guess, analyzing all those data within each and every CRM system can be kind of beneficial for using the ChatGPT in this way.
What we sometimes do, kind of talking more about what Michael mentioned, when we find the lead is already not at the company, but there is somebody else, let's say who took over as a CTO. So we just mail them, we'll find their email, mail them and say, hey, John, we had a conversation with David, like previous year in Q2 about this product, this service. However, I just, he's no longer at the company. And I see you took over this position like 3 months ago. Congrats on that. So, are up for a conversation. So if ChatGPT could optimize that, our SDRs would really save a lot of time. So hoping, it's going to be feasible one day.
That's a great approach, Alex. I didn't hear it for a while. So guys, again, you had someone that you talked to in the pipeline. You saw that they changed the job. So you emailed the new person that is holding the job about the conversation that you previously had, and then now we had a conversation. And the most important is just to get in the door. And then if you have a great product and a great delivery team, then it's a win, right? Because right now it's just getting in the door is tough. But once you're there, then that's it.
Sure. Then changing gears and talking a bit more about like cross-channel integrations and ABM marketing. So ABM, when you Google this, it can show you a lot of kind of different definitions. So I try, trust me. So every time, ABM can be treated so differently. So more or less everyone's okay, on the same page that this is a bit more complicated approach that is simple in marketing. But then for every industry and for a lot of companies, it really varies depending on what you do. So the first point here is like creating a list of companies you want to target. And this is not kind of just an idea or something you could do. This is mostly the why you think about ABM marketing. So you should do this because you either have a limited list of companies that are your TAM, your kind of ideal customer profile within your customer profile, or you can theoretically target more. So your immutable universe of leads is much bigger. However, you want to focus on them. So if you know right away from the very beginning that you only have like 500 companies or 1,000 companies, not only kind of Fortune 500, can be just 500 local companies you want to target. You want to be smart about that. As I talked before, re-engagement is an option. So we just kind of blindly kind of mail them all. And then you think, okay, I want to approach them kind of again. That's okay, but it would be better. It would be actually ideal from the very beginning, have a comprehensive strategy and a roadmap for all these folks. So what I mean is that before doing something, you just kind of look at this list and you think what can be done. And then point by point, here is one of the examples. So you can create a landing page, let's say specifically for some industry. If you know that, okay, we'll start with, let's say, manufacturing. Then you tailor a landing page. It's super clear, straightforward CTA, and then you start kind of emailing. You can set up retargeting ads for people who visit your website. So you email people, a lot of them go to your website. Then there are gonna be some ads kind of for those who did. Probably they're gonna check your LinkedIn page. So you want to, update the page and like polish the page of the person who's either doing the outreach or decision makers who profiles of whom probably going to be checked. So you want to look like an expert in the industry. So either you're local or if you're targeting high, like Fortune 500. So you should be kind of somebody who looks kind of reliable, who's an expert, who posts in the topic, who knows what he's talking about. And then even you can combine, let's say, LinkedIn outreach with email outreach, with ads, with all combined, just to make sure that these 500 companies squeeze from them as much as possible. Then kind of road shows, webinars, conferences, all of this can be incorporated into this either sooner or later. You do webinar, then you email them, or vice versa. You email a lot of people, want to re-engage, you do webinar, you send them the webinar link, then you re-engage with them again. So, and personalization as the last point. So never kind of can be off here. So personalization, depending on how the ABM approach is built, is crucial here. But again, kind of how deep it is depends on what you do.
And then
also,
just add this.
Yeah, I also want to add something. And so quick thing. So Alex is so right about the personalization, because for instance, if you are working with an enterprise company, you're basically having one shot for each and every lead out there, because if you will mess it up with some sort of wording, variables, or be too generic, so those people just blacklist you. And if you will have your ideal customer profile like 100 or 1,000 companies, so it would be like, imagine if you were sending like 500 generic emails, it would be like cutting half of those database, and they will hate you by the default if you would not even try to reach to them. So pay your attention to personalization, even though if you have even more wider ideal customer profile. So it will pays off as a result that people will enjoy to talk to you, at least as a result that they finding that it's just not generic guy who's like saying, hi, hope you are doing well, and just like running through the cracks of all those emails.
That's a great point, Vlad. And very often when you guys are selling to a huge company, right, and you doing the cold outreach, what the SDRs are doing, they are taking as many people from the same organization as they can, and they're emailing them, blasting them, talking to them. But what's happening is, because they have the same IT system, if someone marks your email as spam, then it's going to be marked in the entire organization, so you won't be able to email them. Or they have some rules set up that if, for example, 2 or 3 emails is sent to the same network at the same time, it also can kind of hard bounce, and that's it. So what you need to do is you need to be smart about the targeting. So ABM is one of the approaches, but also even if you're using just the email channel, make sure that you're emailing 1 or 2 individuals with different messaging at the time. So it's better to re-engage them later. So with the same organization that has like 10,000 people and probably 500 people are your kind of decision makers, instead of just talking to all of them at the same time, try to split them and just move strategically one by one by one by one, and then you're going to have more success. And then just you wanted to add something on this one?
Yeah. So just unless you're marked as spam, everything is good, because if there is a big organization, some CPG or healthcare. So if your ideal target is like head of sales or director of something, then there are like plenty of them, like dozens of them. So sometimes the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. So that's totally fine. But if you mail like 3, 4, 5 folks, and as Michael says, you were marked as spam, then the whole organization, they really, the big organization, they're tough about this. Their firewall is just going to block everything that comes from your domain. Then no ABM or no other approach is possible. So if you're not sure, you want to tinker with some approach that may lead you to being spam, better not, because even bad email template looks personalized. That's fine, because you can re-engage with the same company, just different people. But if you're marked as spam, probably that's the end for, at least for this marketing campaign, because the domain is not gonna work anymore for them.
Yeah, and then just to add about the ABM. So what you see on the screen, you can do that or you cannot do that, whatever. It can work without it, right? The idea is that it's a numbers game. So you want conversion, you work on the ABM, you work on different channels, because the better your market presence, your brand, your reviews, your case studies, your website, your social, the more things you do, the higher the conversion from all the channels are. So whenever you're just starting out, don't be frustrated that, well, I cannot do successful email marketing because I don't have all of that. Well, you still can do that. It's just you need to leverage your expectations, right? So if the expectations are that I wanted to get at least my first few clients, done, do that, right? But if you really wanted to play the long ball, then you need to work on all other things. Even some small things, like, for example, like someone registered on your website, go ahead and add those people on LinkedIn. Say hi, thanks for the interest, like some posts, right? Like, and that would already create you an additional channel of engagement, not just the email, right? And that's going to be a totally different game if you can automate and then you can educate your team kind of doing that. So again, try as many channels as you can, try to do it effectively, but try adding like one by one, but really at the same time, just focus on the channels like Vlad mentioned that could actually generate you some revenue, and not cut off the budget if you can substitute it with something else.
Okay, we'll go further. And then this one is simple, and at the same time, not everyone is on the same page, because we have clients who really want to like craft a big email, and sometimes those are really well crafted. So there are a lot of kind of features described, the pricing, the logic, the storytelling, everything's great, like better than some novel that you can read. However, the problem is that the world we're living in is like so fast paced that quite often, even this is about mobile, but that can be as well like desktop. So you get a big email, and then like a huge kind of like 5-7 paragraphs, and you're just probably with a higher chance you're going to archive it. So the subject line should be short, should be really concise. It also, as Michael said, should be connected with the email body. So a lot of times we didn't want to just craft something that is attractive, that is going to have a higher chance to be open. However, once prospects first, that's a problem for spam. And second, once prospects understand you kind of somehow tricked them, we just made them opening this email and it's not connected to the email body, then that's not going to work. So concise subject line, but as well connected to the email body. Then being straight to the point. So again, you can kind of have a paragraph about your product, how you're good, how you can help them, maybe more from perspective of how it can be suitable for their business, but still the email has to have a clear intro, like a main email body part, and then like call to action. Then kind of concise email body, basically, just make sure if you want to have more features described, maybe you can have email cadence, email sequence. So we have another few emails in the chain. Maybe you can unfold something about your product later, but just having like first big, huge intro email right away, probably not going to be that successful.
And I think we've done over the last 6 years, we've done, oh my God, like millions or tons of emails selling Balkans, right? And the most successful opening that we've had over these years that we cannot change was the opening, do you have capacity for new clients? This is like the game changers. When you start an email, hey John, do you have capacity for new clients? If we can generate clients without advertising sent, would you be interested in discussing this? Done. So you can imagine, like, we've done a lot of A/B testing, a lot of like about the company cases. We have like, hundreds of testimonials, case studies. Nothing can beat the do you have capacity for new clients. So the idea is that A/B test, find that short, sweet opening that really speaks to the pain or to the problem, or even like something like, do you have capacity for new clients? Of course I have. What's the question? Can you give me clients, right? Like, so something like that should really be the game changer for you. And then you will see this channel blossoming and just getting you more appointments.
And don't forget, you basically just need a hook. So, you need to start the conversation. So a lot of people like kind of misunderstand the whole concept. So then once somebody responded back, even to the question, if they need new clients, so they can say, like, hey, surely we do, but how can you bring them to us? Then that's the time when you can either send some of your case studies, like one pagers, materials. You can talk more about why specifically your company can help them. But just adding this right away probably is not going to work unless this is something really specific.
And then people in the chat, sorry, I'll just take a second. People in the chat ask about like links, attachments, images, all of that. So we are all against that. And the reason is that as Lars mentioned, it's an opening. We really wanted to get the hook, get the conversation going. And then you can follow up with case studies, with links, with information. You don't want to bombard your clients with all that info if they even don't actually think that this is relevant for them. You're just fishing for it. And that's why it triggers spam filters. It triggers the everything, whatever. So the idea is that something short, something simple, something that can be open on a mobile to trigger, but not, I wouldn't go for funny. Honestly, I personally don't like people being like too funny with me, like funky, I like really, what the hell you're emailing me for, right? And then go to the next slide. Just one last thing. And this is my personal problem. So I am listed as the managing partner and no one is selling me nothing. So people are not emailing me with whatever. And I am one of the decision makers and I can really, and no one is selling me because they don't like my title. They're too lazy to research what the managing partners are doing. So the point here for you guys, try not to go only after CEOs and head of sales, but try to look for some titles that are undervalued, underappreciated like myself, that can be a good decision maker for you and try to sell to them, right?
No worries, they're selling to me and Vlad. So
yeah. Meanwhile, we're like diving with tons of emails from everyone. So.
As well. And lastly on this, before I go to the next slide, so the questions about PDFs and images, all of that. So the problem is, Vlad can elaborate here probably, but like firewalls, really, once you had at least one message from somebody, if somebody responded back, even they responded like not interested, then Google thinks or Outlook thinks, okay, there is some conversations. Folks are just having a nice chat, even if it was like, remove me, I hate you or something. Then you can, depends on if you need, but you can send some attachment and then just try to maybe persuade them. But if this is cold, if this is the first time you email, this domain and this specific person, the firewall is not going to like it.
And that's so true,
That's
Alex.
true.
That's so true, guys. Remember, the engagement is very important. So if people even replying you, I'm not interested, it's much better than not responding at all. So if you can get a response, any type of response, go for it. Because if you're sending heavy emails without not getting the response, it's going to decrease your reputation. You're going to be blacklisted. You're going to get some other problems, and then you would need to pay furtherly to get the fix, which we are about because we're in the business for that. So either you pay furtherly and you do a good email outreach without. So you're probably going to be doing both, but the idea is that if you can save your time and energy on getting the engagements, kind of do that. And guys, let's speed up because we have the chat here.
This is last slide for me, and Vlad is going to talk about it more, so I'll be really concise. So AI, surely, while preparing this, I knew I should add this. So a few use cases for email marketing, for messages, for campaigns and cadences you're creating. So first, can help you generating ideas. You should filter them. Not all of them are great. Maybe that's going to get better one day. However, when you're stuck and you have some deep dive with your team, like one of the options is ask ChatGPT, possibly can help you. Then new angles for content. This is self-explanatory. Simplifying your text. This can help in the context what we just discussed recently, 5 minutes ago. So when you have a lot of information and you feel like it's all really viable and should be added, maybe ChatGPT just can help you, cut some corners, maybe make it more concise, rewrite this and help with the responses. This is more about some extensions that are already available, and Vlad, I know, has a slide about that, available for Gmail, for Outlook. So those extensions, they help you not only with the snippets and canned responses you created, but with something that AI can help you with. So surely there is something unique about your business that is not going to handle, but some not interested, contact later, some basic responses. It can, tailor it for you, and you just basically kind of proofread and send it out. So it's going to be more and more AI and ChatGPT everywhere. This is just the beginning. We have personally around 40 use cases for Balkans, and Vlad, maybe you can talk more about this.
Yeah, sure. Speaking of AI, and again, you thought that this webinar would be without AI since they're so moving around the ChatGPT. So yeah, speaking of about the AI and utilization of the AI. So since ChatGPT released, there is a lot of people starting to doing basically everything, starting from digital assistant, end up being the writer for ebooks on Amazon, slamming all of those with the AI content. And I'm glad that they came up with a solution to identify all of those kind of content. But for the fact, the way you are using AI, and for instance, the ChatGPT, and I guess the BART from the Google and the Llama from the Facebook, their Neuralingo that they will release soon, would be the same. The way how you use the prompts, the way how you programming it for yourself, for your goal. For instance, the first thing that I used to try was ChatGPT, draft me email content. This is the common use case. But again, you can set that, act like email marketer, avoid funny language, be strict, confident with what are you saying, analyze this site, that site, analyze the HubSpot, and accordingly the HubSpot XML, which is the text version of the HubSpot website with all of their useful data, answer to all of those questions that I ask you. And for instance, what is the email benchmark in terms of the performance? And it will in the moment, so it works really in 1-2 seconds maximum. It will analyze the HubSpot blog, analyze all those data that you ask them to act as for you, and came up with an answer. And more of those kind of things that happening with the same prompt, if you continue to talk with it, building the logic chains, after 10, 12, 50, 100 messages, the better result would be. So basically, it will analyze your chat with him and came up with some sort of way that you are looking to act, that you are looking to act from him. So basically, the way how you ask, the way how you program, and then getting the results. This is the most common thing, and there is a lot of joking around that AI will swap with the humans and steal the jobs. But again, if you're a logical person who can come up with the great logical sentence and keep the logic by the end, you are in the safe zone. But if you're only wants to draft the content, I don't know, get the information, understand what is kind of simple terms. Again, this is not the breakthrough. You can just Google it. But if you prompt it, you will get like different result.
One of the latest funny things happening in our team about utilizing this was one of our SEO team leaders who was against using ChatGPT because it was dumb, basically. Challenged Vlad, and then what Vlad did, Vlad created this prompt, very detailed one that sort of like that was able to create a data set with the keyword search queries, with the descriptions, with everything that are relevant for the specific core and specific pages. And it's funny because the message, the SEO team leads, his name is Eugene, he was able to see that and prove that. He was like, wow, okay, now I believe that this thing is helpful. So no other tools that we're paying for can do the same. All right, boys, we have like 9 more minutes and we are ready for questions. So let's keep up real quick for what we have for the people. And then guys, if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask those questions right now. Vlad, can you go back one slide real quick? These are the tools that we've researched that are really top notch right now in the emailing game. Make the screenshot, check those guys out. Some of them will be probably gone, maybe will not be gone in the next year, we don't know, but the point is that these are cool tools. We're using some of them. We don't want to stop on them and take your time, so just make the screenshot and check them out. Maybe some of them will be interesting.
And I guess after the webinar, we will send it over those people who hit the plus there. Yes, so to summarize and like prepare your questions, guys, so you can sign up with the folder. And again, why we are talking about the email. So with a Folderly, we find out the way how to get to the inbox no matter what. Even though if you hit a promotion folder, spam folder, Folderly team knows how to avoid those, how to fix those, and make your marketing works for you and getting the ROI. So yeah, hit the screenshot and sign up with some discount on it and get the analysis of your domain, the mailbox, and the content inside of it. And side note that ChatGPT inside the Folderly and helps to generate the content and help to work with the spam words, analyzing all of your context and analyzing its data for the spam words and helping you to be more successful with it. So I guess we can. I
already told you the origin why we had it done, just because, like honestly, there's no one else that could help us to get that email back on track, and we're not able to ask client, hey, can we buy a new domain? Hey, can we buy the new mailbox, right? So that's it. We still have 7 more minutes. We're ready for questions. So if you have new questions, just drop them in the chat. I will go randomly one by one. And if some question won't be answered, we're definitely going to follow up with some information with you guys. So
yeah. Meanwhile, you're choosing the question. I will share this prompt for the CEO in the chat.
Okay.
Yes, if I can. Wow. So yeah, so you would try to use it. So I guess I will need to split it out.
But this is too much value for the folks here. Can we just keep it for the next webinar, or they won't come next time?
No. I will see. We'll see. So everyone wants to have some hacks and cheats for ChatGPT. So see the chat right now, and this is the example of the prompt for SEO automated keyword research. And it's not just find me the keyword. See the logic behind. See the value how you try to program it. So just to like use your logic and be more detailed as possible, you will get the fantastic result. Yeah, go ahead with the question. So if you get
so some of the questions were like, hey, A/B testing. A/B testing is the king. Very often we've seen that campaign is not successful just because we're emailing wrong people, not because people so you email head of sales. It doesn't mean that they are not working as your client or they're not decision makers. It just means that maybe they're not the right people to pitch the product. So if you go and research and reach out to another people, you're going to see much better results. So A/B testing is one of the things that we're doing when we are ramping up a lot. And the more A/B tests, the more approaches you test, the better you can be at the end. So A/B test. What is better, a nice email or the one that is finished successfully? Definitely the one that you finish reading. So that's why short email, plain text, don't design it, don't overthink it, just purely very, very simple. communicative language, not selling, not marketing. And I personally hate like buzzwords and some marketing like CTAs, like, I just really wanted the straightforward, honest conversation about the certain product or service, which works really well. So there are some tools. So we are using reply.io for cold outreach. We use HubSpot for our opt-in email marketing and for our CRM and for some other things. These are the main two tools for the sales. We use a Leah app for LinkedIn automation. So that works really well for us as well.
We also use streak.com, the one I mentioned about like your inbox pre-sales pipeline, just making sure you manually follow up or engage with your audience. So streak.com is one of the tools that you can use, but that's the one that we really love.
And then we use Gmail sometimes when you really need to hit hard and then get those emails out. And the reason why Gmail is successful, because they are using Google servers for sending out emails. So they're not using external servers for sending out emails. So that's why the IP and the service cannot be blocked. That's why Gmail has a good sending reputation, but not a lot of automation. So you just needed to do a lot of manual.
There's also an interesting question in chat that what are the key factors that goes into the being associated with the spam? Basically, the content that you're sending, Alex said that the attachment that you're sending, the entire content, spam words, and again, do not try to slam everyone with the tons of information. Try to engage, and after you can lose. So play the game. So get the answer, and then starting to share the decks, share the case studies, share all those data. So content, leads, like Michael said, lead hygiene, keep your leads up to date, keep them away from the bounces, since there is a lot of things that happening with the leads. Try to keep them refreshed at least like once a month, because then we will get the right result. Also, how you're sending emails and from what kind of email service provider. The Google have their own limitation with Gmail. Microsoft with the Outlook Exchange, they have their own limitations. So always dive deep and see what kind of limitation from all those tools, and then integrate it with the like Outreach, HubSpot, MailChimp, and those hundreds of thousands of tools there.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
A few more points. Like first, the sender itself, how you look on behalf of whom you're sending. If it looks suspicious, no photo, no signature, no real person, no LinkedIn, just automatically blocked by most people. And then kind of lastly, the amount of leads you're sending, but not only the amount of leads you're planning to send to different companies, but targeting enterprise. The problem is you have like 40 people from, like Pfizer, some pharma company, and you just email to all of them. The chances firewall is not going to allow you are super high. And also, even if you're mailing one person per company, please make sure the interval between emails is like at least 1 minute. Make sure, not more than 150 emails from one mailbox per day, because this is really crucial. And that's the most easy kind of way to, land in spam.
But this is just for the Gmail, just important that depending on how you're sending emails, we're using G Suite as our main sort of like ESP for sending out emails. We set it up for clients as well. However, some of you folks are using Microsoft Outlook, whatever. And what is interesting is all of those different ESPs, they have their own, as Vlad mentioned, rules for limitations, but also they all accept the emails differently. So for example, using a simple bounce checker like zero bounce, you are able to identify what is the email service provider of your client, of the person that you're emailing to. So if you have Microsoft servers and Microsoft or Outlook, then it's better for you to email those people using Outlook as well, because then the Outlook emails will be accepted more efficiently when you do cold the email. Opposite to that with the Gmail. So that's why very often you need to kind of engineer it. And sometimes if you feel like, my open rates are not good, I tried the messaging, I tried the leads, why it's not working, maybe you need to technically sort of look at the ESP and say, well, what are the ESPs that my clients are using? Oh, they're using Outlook. Am I emailing with Gmail or am I emailing with Outlook? Oh, with Gmail. Okay, can I change to Outlook and see how it works? And sort of like experiment, right? Awesome, guys. We are out of time. Thank you very much for joining us today. Vlad, thank you very much for hosting it. And I hope you guys enjoyed. We try to give you whatever we know with regards to email marketing. Hope you had fun, because I personally had a lot of fun with you guys and with a lot of great questions and a lot of great chats right now. So we're going to save the history of the chat as well. And we're going to send it everyone to one. So again, thanks for joining, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
You have a great rest of your day. Take care, boys and girls.
Take care.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.